Have you ever loved someone deeply, only to feel like they don't love you back? Or maybe, no matter how hard your partner tries, you just don't feel appreciated. The problem might not be the love itself, but the language it's spoken in. Welcome to this life-changing summary of the 5 Love Languages by Gary Chapman, a book that has saved thousands of marriages and transformed countless relationships worldwide. In the next few minutes, you'll learn not only how love works, but how to make it last. Dr. Gary Chapman is a renowned marriage counselor with over 30 years of experience. After years of listening to couples struggle with the same problems, he uncovered a powerful truth. People speak different emotional languages when it comes to love. In this book, Chapman outlines 5 distinct love languages, 5 unique ways people express and receive love. The key to a lasting relationship? Learning to speak your partner's primary love language. Now, let's explore each chapter and see how this unfolds. Chapter 1. What happens to love after the wedding? The book opens with a conversation between the author and a man sitting beside him on a plane. The man, having gone through 3 failed marriages, poses a haunting question. What happens to love after the wedding? This question sets the tone for the entire book. Dr. Chapman explains that falling in love is often mistaken for real love. The euphoric high of romance, filled with passion and idealization, is biologically designed to fade after about 2 years. This is why many couples, after the honeymoon phase, find themselves confused and disillusioned. Real love, he says, is not something you fall into. It's a choice you make. It's not driven by emotion, but by commitment and action. Chapman suggests that many people are unprepared for what happens once the initial excitement dies down. They continue speaking their own love language without understanding their partners, and when their expressions of love aren't received, frustration grows. He uses the analogy of language itself. Just as 2 people speaking different native tongues struggle to communicate, so do couples who express love in different ways. The key, Chapman says, is learning to speak your spouse's primary emotional love language. That, he promises, is the secret to keeping love alive long after the wedding. Chapter 2. Keeping the love tank full. Dr. Chapman introduces the concept of an emotional love tank, a metaphorical reservoir that determines how loved and emotionally connected a person feels. When the tank is full, the person is happy, motivated, and emotionally secure. When it's empty, they feel unappreciated, distant, and often become angry, critical, or withdrawn. Much like a car can't run on an empty fuel tank, a marriage can't run on an empty love tank. And yet, most couples don't even realize that their partner's tank is running low. Why? Because they're often speaking the wrong love language. Chapman notes that our emotional need for love doesn't vanish once we become adults. It simply evolves. He uses the story of a young girl named Ashley to illustrate how a lack of emotional connection, even when physical needs are met, can lead to destructive behavior. Ashley's parents provided her with food, clothing, and shelter, but missed her deep emotional need to feel loved, leading her to seek affection in unhealthy ways. He emphasizes that marriages begin to disintegrate not because of major betrayals, but often because one or both partners feel emotionally abandoned. This abandonment is usually not intentional. It stems from a lack of understanding. The good news? Once we identify our spouse's love language and begin to speak it, we can refill their emotional tank, often with dramatic and positive effects on the relationship. Chapter 3. Falling in Love. Falling in love, according to Chapman, is a beautiful illusion. It's euphoric, obsessive, and all-consuming. You think about the other person constantly, you feel invincible together, and you truly believe your love is one of a kind. But that's the catch. This high doesn't last. Using the story of Janice, a 36-year-old woman who declared she was getting married after only 3 weeks of dating, Chapman illustrates how the in-love feeling often blinds us to reality. During this phase, we overlook red flags and idealize our partner. But eventually, reality returns. Chapman shares research that shows the average in-love phase lasts about 2 years. After that, people begin to notice their partner's flaws, differences in values or habits, and experience conflict. Many interpret this shift as falling out of love, and sadly, some believe it means the relationship has failed. But this is the critical turning point. Real love begins after the in-love experience fades. Unlike the obsession of early romance, true love is an act of the will. It's about commitment, sacrifice, and intentionally choosing to care for another person, instead of chasing the high of new love repeatedly, leading to serial relationships or divorce. Chapman urges couples to shift their mindset. Real love, the kind that lasts a lifetime, is built not on emotion, but on action. Chapter 4. Love language number 1. Words of affirmation. Now, Chapman introduces the first of the 5 love languages, words of affirmation. For people who speak this love language, nothing is more powerful than kind, encouraging, and appreciative words. It can be as simple as, "I love how hard you work for our family. You looked amazing today. Thank you for always making my mornings better." To someone who thrives on words, verbal expressions of love are like oxygen. They live for compliments, appreciation, and encouragement. On the flip side, criticism, sarcasm, or being ignored can wound them deeply. Chapman breaks this language into different dialects, such as verbal compliments, praising appearance, achievements, or effort. Words of encouragement, helping your partner overcome fear or self-doubt. This means seeing things from their perspective and offering belief in their abilities. Kind words, not just what you say, but how you say it. Tone, softness, and timing matter. Humble words, making requests rather than demands. Saying, "Would you be willing to," instead of issuing commands. Chapman even shares real counseling stories. One involves a woman frustrated with her husband for not painting their bedroom. Her constant nagging wasn't working. Chapman advised her to stop the criticism and start offering verbal appreciation for the things he was doing. Within weeks, the bedroom got painted, and the emotional climate in their marriage changed dramatically. The key takeaway? Words matter. If your spouse's love language is words of affirmation, then every compliment counts, and every criticism cuts deep. Choosing your words wisely could be the most loving thing you ever do. Chapter 5. Love language number 2, quality time. Quality time is all about giving your partner your undivided attention, not just being physically close, but emotionally and mentally present. To someone with this love language, nothing says, "I love you," like truly being there for them, sharing moments of deep connection, and engaging in meaningful activities together. Chapman begins by distinguishing between physical proximity and emotional closeness. Sitting next to each other while scrolling on your phones doesn't count. True quality time involves eye contact, listening, responding, and doing things that foster togetherness. Whether it's a walk in the park, a heart-to-heart conversation, or a quiet dinner without distractions, these moments are what fill the emotional love tank of someone whose primary language is quality time. He introduces the idea of quality conversation, where one partner genuinely listens to the other's thoughts, feelings, and experiences without interrupting or problem-solving. The goal isn't to fix anything, it's to connect. Being a good listener, asking open-ended questions, and expressing empathy are all part of this dialect. Chapman also talks about quality activities, which are experiences that both partners enjoy doing together. It doesn't have to be extravagant. It could be baking cookies, taking a bike ride, or building a puzzle together. What matters is that the activity facilitates bonding and emotional engagement. The author cautions that if your partner's love language is quality time, neglecting shared moments by always being too busy, distracted, or emotionally unavailable can leave them feeling unloved, invisible, and rejected. Chapter 6. Love language number 3, receiving gifts. For some people, receiving a thoughtful gift is the clearest expression of love. But Chapman makes an important clarification. This is not about materialism. It's about the symbolism behind the gift, the message that "I was thinking about you." A gift, no matter how small, is a visible reminder that you're loved. Whether it's a keychain, a flower picked from the garden, or a handwritten note, These tokens carry deep emotional weight for someone whose love language is receiving gifts. Chapman recounts stories of spouses who felt deeply connected simply because their partner brought home something that showed attentiveness. One woman felt incredibly cherished when her husband brought her seashells from a business trip, not because the shells were valuable, but because he remembered her love for the ocean. He highlights two important types of gifts. One, physical items, wrapped or not. And two, the gift of self, being physically present during a time of crisis or celebration. To someone with this love language, your presence during important events is a gift in itself. For those who struggle with gift giving, Chapman advises keeping a list of things your partner mentions liking, asking friends or family for suggestions, or simply becoming more observant of what brings your partner joy. Even a surprise coffee delivery or a homemade gift can speak volumes. And here's the warning. Forgetting birthdays, anniversaries, or significant occasions is especially painful for someone whose primary love language is receiving gifts. To them, it may signal that they are not valued or remembered. Chapter 7, Love Language Number 4, Acts of Service. Actions speak louder than words perfectly sums up this love language. For people who feel loved when others help them, actions such as doing the laundry, cooking dinner, or fixing something around the house are powerful expressions of affection. Chapman defines acts of service as doing things you know your partner would like you to do. These can be mundane, practical tasks, but they're transformed into emotional expressions of love when done with a cheerful heart. One story in this chapter involved a husband who didn't understand why his wife constantly complained about household chores. To him, love was best expressed through words. But to her, nothing said, "I love you," more than him unloading the dishwasher without being asked. Chapman emphasizes that attitude matters. An act of service done with resentment, sighs, or complaints won't be received as love. In fact, it can have the opposite effect. But when these acts are performed voluntarily and with joy, they become powerful tools for connection. He also warns against stereotypical gender roles that could trap couples. Just because someone is expected to do certain tasks doesn't mean they should carry the load alone. Acts of service require thoughtful initiative and teamwork. Finally, he offers a practical tip. Ask your partner to list the top 5 actions that make them feel most loved. Then, work those into your routine, not as obligations, but as love in action. Chapter 8, Love Language Number 5, Physical Touch. Physical touch may be the most misunderstood of all the love languages. It's not just about sexual intimacy. It encompasses all forms of loving touch, hugs, holding hands, a pat on the back, sitting close on the couch. Chapman explains that touch is a fundamental human need from birth. Babies who are touched and held thrive emotionally and physically. That need doesn't disappear as we grow up. It simply takes different forms in adult relationships. For people whose primary love language is physical touch, nothing communicates love more deeply than intentional, affectionate contact. Even brief touches throughout the day, a touch on the shoulder, a kiss before leaving for work, can be deeply meaningful. Chapman shares the story of a couple where the husband felt starved for affection. His wife assumed her presence, and shared responsibilities were enough. But once she began offering more physical touch, initiating hugs, rubbing his shoulders, holding hands, the emotional temperature of their relationship changed almost instantly. The absence of touch, on the other hand, can be devastating. A lack of physical connection may leave the partner feeling isolated, rejected, or even unloved, even if other expressions of love are present. Chapman emphasizes that touch should never be manipulative or forced. It should be freely given, respectful, and aligned with your partner's comfort. When used sincerely, it can become the most immediate and powerful way to say, "I love you." Chapter 9, Discovering Your Primary Love Language. After introducing all 5 love languages, Chapman helps readers identify their own and their partner's primary love language. While many people appreciate aspects of all 5, each person typically has one that speaks to them the loudest. He suggests 3 questions to help uncover it. 1. What does your partner do or fail to do that hurts you the most? 2. What do you most often request from your partner? 3. How do you naturally express love to others? The answers to these questions often reveal the dominant love language. For example, if you constantly wish your partner would help around the house, acts of service may be your language. If you're most hurt by cold silence or harsh words, words of affirmation may be yours. Chapman also introduces the idea of a secondary love language. While the primary language fills your love tank the fastest, the secondary can also enhance connection when used thoughtfully. Some people might say, I think I'm all 5. While it's true we can enjoy love in multiple forms, Chapman insists that most people have one love language that, when spoken fluently, makes all the difference. He encourages couples to have open discussions about their love languages. Take turns guessing each other's language, share examples, and discuss what truly makes you feel valued. Ultimately, discovering your love language is only the beginning. The real magic happens when you and your partner practice each other's language consistently. That's when the love tank overflows, and a good relationship becomes a great one. Chapter 10. Love is a choice. In this chapter, Dr. Chapman emphasizes a critical shift in thinking. Real, lasting love is not something that happens to us. It's a choice. Unlike the euphoric, in-love experience that happens automatically, real love requires conscious decisions and daily actions. He explains that once the emotional high of early romance fades, couples enter a new phase where love must become intentional. It's in this phase that the 5 love languages become vital. You don't simply wait to feel love. You choose to act lovingly in ways your partner can receive and understand. Chapman shares a powerful counseling story of a woman who felt hopeless in her marriage. Her husband was distant, critical, and emotionally unavailable. Chapman encouraged her to experiment, discover, and speak his love language every day for 6 months. She resisted, arguing it would be dishonest since she didn't feel loving. But Chapman reminded her, love is a choice, not a feeling. To her surprise, after a few weeks of consistent effort, her husband began to soften. Over time, he became more engaged, affectionate, and emotionally responsive. What started as an act of discipline transformed into genuine love. The lesson? Our actions can reshape our emotions. When we act in love, especially when it's hard, we invite change. And in that process, not only does our partner feel loved, but we also reconnect with the reason we chose them in the first place. Chapter 11. Love Makes the Difference. Chapman dives into the healing power of love. He stresses that while love doesn't solve every problem, it creates the safest environment in which solutions can be found. When people feel deeply loved and emotionally secure, they are far more open to communication, compromise, and growth. He shares stories of couples on the brink of divorce, resentful, bitter, and emotionally exhausted. But when they committed to learning and speaking each other's love language, transformation began. The shift didn't happen overnight, but as the emotional tanks began to refill, trust was slowly rebuilt. One particularly moving example involves a husband who had emotionally checked out of his marriage. His wife, instead of retaliating, began to consistently speak his love language, acts of service. She cleaned his car, made his favorite meals, and even offered to help with his work stress. At first, he was suspicious, but over time, he recognized the change. Eventually, his walls came down, and the relationship healed. Chapman's point is simple but profound. Love is a powerful motivator. When a person feels truly loved, it changes how they see themselves, their partner, and the relationship as a whole. It's like watering a wilting plant. It doesn't take long for signs of life to return. Chapter 12. Loving the Unlovely. What do you do when your partner is not just unresponsive, but downright difficult, cold, or hostile? Chapman doesn't shy away from this hard truth. He acknowledges that some marriages are deeply wounded and that showing love in these situations can feel impossible. Still, he encourages readers to lead with love anyway. He tells the story of a woman who believed her marriage was completely dead. Her husband had become harsh and dismissive. She was ready to leave. But when she shared this with Chapman, he challenged her to try one last experiment. For 6 months, speak her husband's primary love language with no strings attached. She chose to stay and began speaking his language daily. She offered words of affirmation, gave thoughtful gifts, and served him with small acts. At first, nothing changed, but gradually, her husband began to respond. He started engaging in conversation again. A few months later, he initiated counseling. Eventually, they rebuilt their marriage from the ground up. Chapman admits this strategy isn't foolproof. Not every partner will respond positively, but even if the relationship doesn't change, you will. By choosing love over bitterness, you preserve your own emotional integrity and dignity. You live out your values rather than reacting to others' flaws. In difficult marriages, this chapter becomes a lifeline. Hope anchored in action. Chapter 13, Children and Love Languages. Love languages aren't just for couples, they're for families. In this chapter, Chapman explains how children also have emotional love tanks that need to be filled. When kids feel genuinely loved, they are more secure, confident, and better behaved. He notes that children, like adults, have a primary love language. Parents often express love in their own language, unaware that their child may speak a different one. For example, a father might give his daughter expensive gifts, thinking it shows love. But if her language is quality time, what she really craves is undivided attention. Chapman encourages parents to observe their children closely. What do they request most? How do they express love to others? What makes them feel especially appreciated? He also emphasizes the importance of experimenting. Try using all 5 love languages consistently and observe which one lights your child up the most. Another key point: as children grow, their love language may evolve. A toddler may love cuddles, physical touch, but as a teenager, they might prefer words of affirmation or acts of service. The goal is to stay attuned and adapt. Filling your child's love tank isn't just about avoiding rebellion. It's about building emotional resilience. Kids who grow up feeling loved are more likely to thrive in school, friendships, and future relationships. Chapter 14, A Personal Word. In this heartfelt closing, Dr. Chapman speaks directly to the reader, not as a counselor, but as a fellow human being navigating the complexities of love. He reiterates that learning your partner's love language is not a technique, it's a mindset. It's about embracing the truth that love is an action, a daily commitment, and a journey of discovery. By choosing to speak your partner's language, you're not only meeting their emotional needs, you're also becoming a better version of yourself, more patient, observant, and generous. He reflects on his decades of counseling work, sharing that the happiest couples he's ever seen are not the ones who avoided conflict, but the ones who learned to love well, intentionally, consistently, and selflessly. Chapman closes with an invitation. Don't just read about love, practice it. Speak it fluently. Because when you do, your relationship will not only survive the storms, it will flourish in ways you never imagined. So what's your love language? What about your partner's? If you want your relationship to thrive, not just survive, don't just guess. Learn it. Speak it. Practice it. Because love isn't a mystery. It's a language. And once you speak it fluently, your relationship will never be the same. If this video helped you, hit that like button, subscribe for more powerful book summaries, and let us know in the comments which love language speaks to you. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next one.